I'm Dr. Graham Connelly. I'm a retired academic, and I have a continuing appointment in the University of Strathclyde's Department of Social Work and Social Policy. But that's not why you've asked me to talk to you. You're asking about my connection with Blair Atholl Station. Well, I first saw Blair Atholl Station in 1966 when, as a scout, aged 13, I went to the Blair Atholl Scout Jamborette, which was held and is still held in the grounds of Blair Castle. I returned 2 years later because the Jamborette is held every 2 years, in 1968, also as a scout. And then in 1970, I returned as a 17-year-old, and I think I attended the Jamborette for every 2 years for many years. And the last time that I attended it was in 1996, when I was a visitor, actually, but I camped for the Visitors' Weekend with my son, who was then a Cub Scout. The Jamborette is a smallish jamboree, and it's been held at Blair Atholl every 2 years since 1946. The camp was originally held in what is now the Caravan Park, but later in the time that I attended migrated closer to the castle in what I believe is called the Target Park, because it was used as practice shooting for people who went out and shot deer. I think in the camp there were probably about 500 scouts. About half of them were from different parts of Scotland, and the others came from many different countries. And the idea was that they camped together in small groups, cooked together, and took part in activities together. So I remember that as a wonderful experience. I still like camping and outdoors, and it started with my involvement in the Scouts. But I actually didn't go to the station in the first 2 years that I attended in the first two of those jamborettes that I attended as a Scout. I had no need to, because I lived elsewhere in Perthshire, and I think I got transported by car. But I acquired a driving licence aged 17, and I had worked in my holidays on a farm and learned to drive a tractor. And they needed a tractor driver to transport wood into the camp, firewood, and do other jobs, and also crucially to collect the baggage of the scouts from the overseas scouts that were coming to the camp. So for many of the occasions that I attended as a volunteer leader, it involved going down at the start of the camp to meet the overnight train that brought many of the international scouts from London. So those are my connections with the station itself. On one occasion, I remember at the end of the camp, we took the bags down in the evening, the evening before the Inverness train was due to take the overseas scouts to London, and we were actually allowed to operate as almost baggage handlers and put the bags into an empty goods van that was sitting in a siding near the station. And that seemed a kind of improbable thing, but we were allowed to do that. And I remember on that particular occasion that Jimmy McBain, who was well known to the Scouts, the station porter, saying to the then camp chief, Dr. Brian Fairgrave, "Dr. Fairgrave, that's the train loaded. When would you like it to leave?" Somehow, almost improbably, as if Jimmy, clearly an important person in the station and in Blair Atholl, who had held many roles, actually was able to interrupt the rail service and decide when the train, the Inverness to London train, could actually leave. You asked me what's my connection with Blair Atholl now. Well, it's a long time since I was involved in the camp, though actually this conversation has got me thinking about it, and I know that this is a Jamborette year, so I think I will try and make a visit. But I go occasionally to visit the mill, which is a favourite stopping off point of ours, and I like to go there and have a coffee, and I was there recently actually for lunch. And interestingly, that mill building, well, the first time I came to the Jamborette at Blair Castle, it was in a poor state, and so I've taken an interest in the renovation, and I like going there, and I like taking people there. I've taken many overseas visitors there because so many people just bypass Blair Atholl on the A9 heading towards Inverness. So that's my story about the station. Have I ever got off the train at the station? I think only once in my life did I do that for a hill walking trip. I did get off, but I visited recently since we had the initial conversation about your project, and I know that you've got plans to renovate the station buildings, the waiting room and so on. So I wish you well with that.